Ooh, what's going on, people? It's your boy, Charles McMurray, aka Chugga, and I got another story to tell. This one's rather recent. I'm just gonna go straight into it. So, I've been leading praise and worship for this particular church for about 3 years. I was the musical director, and the way it was set up, the keyboard was on the pulpit and there was no like separating. It was literally like pastor and then me. So during the sermon, I would either leave and go to the congregation, or I would just sit in the back because there was a door right by where I was. And so I would sit back in the door, and then once I hear things calming down, like I would go back out to finish out the service. And it was kind of easy that way because, you know, people seeing my face up there and I'd be making faces and everything. I figured I'd be more of a distraction than a help if I stayed up there. And it would take too long for me to walk, you know, to the pulpit from whatever pew I was sitting at. And so on this particular Sunday, the co-pastor, which, by the way, where did the concept of co-pastors come from? Not saying I don't agree with it, not saying it's not biblical. All I'm saying is back in the day, there was just first ladies. There were no co-pastors. Now, it seems like the first ladies are gone and they're all co-pastors now. And so, I don't get the, nobody's ever explained, let me put it that way, the, I guess the rubric, the justification of that, you know, why you have a co-pastor. You know, I've heard plenty of arguments against first ladies, you know, but I've never heard one advocating co-pastors. Or is it interchangeable? Does it mean something totally different? You know, what? I digress. So, co-pastor was preaching this Sunday, and she did something that I never do, because I've been tempted to do it many times, but the Lord said no to me. And basically, while I'm in the pulpit leading worship or doing anything else, I will not express my personal grievances, be it with the church, being with somebody from the church, whatever the case may be. You know, that's not why I'm there as a minister of music. I'm not there to voice my frustration. Even if I am frustrated with some people or some things that are going on, that's not the setting to address those things. I'm just supposed to be leading praise and worship. Co-pastor found it in her best interest just to let it all fly. All of her grievances, all of her frustrations with the church and the people therein, and just how hard it was to be a pastor. With that, you know, by the end of it, she was just like, and where's the musician at? You know, our musician ain't never here. Like, she went to me. Like, and I'm sitting there in the back, you know, listening to the whole thing, because she don't know that I'm only 10 feet away from her behind this door. And so I'm just sitting there like, what? Where's the musician at? Can't get no help. I can go home, because I literally, like, my car was parked. All I had to do was go downstairs and out the door, and I would have went home. And I'm like, how dare she, like, bomb me out just because I'm not in the place where I'm seen, but I'm still here and I'm still available. You know, pastor knows where I be, because he preaches and he be calling me up, but she's just in a rant mode, and now I'm catching it. I'm like, what is this? And so I'm just sitting there like, should I go home? And the Lord was like, you know what? If you go home, you're not only leaving this pastor, you're leaving this church and the people. And so you have to look beyond, you know, your little feelings and do my work. You know, it's like, all right. So I go back out there, finish the service, didn't even think twice about it. I was like, oh, well, you know, the Lord's going to work on her, because I know whenever I do something crazy in the pulpit, you know, the Spirit just gets at me like, you shouldn't have did that. And so, you know, I was just going to wait and see. My mom, on the other hand, did not find it good enough. She's the type that will hold a grudge until the grudge cannot be held. So she was like, did you hear co-pastor talk about you all this stuff. Like, you should have left. I would have left if I was you. And I was like, Mom, I wasn't gonna leave. And so what my mom decides to do is she decides to buy a copy of the sermon from the media ministry and give it to her the next Sunday and tell her, you need to listen to how you sounded last Sunday. So there was no curse out, there was no nothing. It was just like, she bought it and gave it to her as a gift and told her to listen to herself. And I was like, dang, Mom, that's cold. And so I don't know if she actually got an opportunity to listen to it or not. All I do know is that later on, the pastor tells the guy over at the media not to record any of the sermons anymore, for distribution. He was like, why? Pastor was like, because I said so. And so I don't know what happened. But needless to say, it was a terrible situation that was going on within the church in period. And they did end up getting voted out. We Baptists, we vote out a pastor. And guess who drafted up the letter to the Metro Atlanta Baptist Association to get the pastors out? None other than my mother, because she holds a grudge until it cannot be held anymore. And so I left the church way before it came to that. Like, I just, I was looking for reasons to leave anyway, and I finally found one. But I say that to say, not saying that I experienced that church hurt in that particular time, but I think a lot of people experience church hurt, and I do believe that it's very real. For me, I was never necessarily scorned. No, I was never chastised for the things I did or the way I looked, because I've never carried myself in that way. And I know a lot of people don't have that choice. A lot of people they're born more curvaceous, or as a man, you're born more feminine, or, whatever the case may be for them not to like you. People just gonna hate on you just because, And so I never had that. What I have had was, being a young musician and being in places of leadership as a young person. A lot of people try to undermine me and, accuse me of doing stuff that I wasn't doing or I didn't do, or try to manipulate me to get their agendas done. That was kind of stuff I went through as a teenager and a young adult. And the point I'm trying to make is, you can't base your relationship with God on your relationship with people, good or bad, because a lot of people base their relationship with God on their relationship with their pastor. Their pastor does everything for them, and they just call their pastor for everything. And if it wasn't for their pastor, they wouldn't really have a relationship with God aside from their church or aside from their pastor. Like, God is faithful and he's just, it's us that's messing it all up. You know what I'm saying? And so I still go to church because I saw a need for church in my life. After I left that church, I was without a church for a year and a half. And in that time, my mom got cancer. My now nephew passed away. I got robbed at gunpoint. I got engaged. Like, a whole bunch of life happened. And I had nowhere to turn, no real family or spiritual base or community to turn to like really help me through those times. And I was really just navigating it by myself as a young man. And I realized, like, there's a need for community, period. However community looks to you, church is just a great way to do it. And so I'll never advocate against church or against religion. I feel like religion and relationship works cohesively as long as you're able to put relationship first and foremost. But I just wanted to say that to people. Like, don't let your relationship with other people affect your relationship with God or your relationship with church. Like, there are good churches, there are good pastors, there are good people out here. You just have to look, and you can't write off a whole subgroup of people just because of the actions of a couple. It's not fair, And so I think this is a great way to end the church story series, but I have more. But I just wanted to let that lesson be known and have that story kind of illustrate that lesson, that there are good people out here and all that good stuff. Y'all be blessed.